back to my channel. My name is Sin. I wanted to talk about the woman of the hour. I'm not a big true crime girly. I don't really consume true crime, but I was fascinated by this movie because I watched the Trixie and Katya show that they do on Netflix, and they were talking about it, and that just seemed so fascinating to me. The fact that this serial killer was on a TV show about like romance and dating, and he won.
Creep-tastic.
That's insane to me. Also, it was directed by Kendrick. For this to be her first movie, honestly, so proud of her. She did such a good job for it to be her first time.
Pat yourself on the back, girl.
And the fact that she was like directing and acting in it, oh my god. Being a director and then directing actors, already hard. Already seems fucking impossible. We have this saying in film where it's like, movies don't want to get made because of so many factors that go into making a movie. And to add a second layer of complexity of then directing yourself, anyone that does that is literally, in my eyes, a superhuman. If you are directing a piece of work that you're also acting in, you should just get an automatic Oscar for doing that in and of itself. It is so hard and tedious and just but let's get into it. So it starts off with the serial killer taking photos of this one victim. We get this very realistic interaction with him and a victim.
Just be yourself. Try and forget that there's a camera here. Tell me about yourself.
Because I feel like a lot of people have it in their mind that these serial killers are creepy and people stay away from them and it's hard for them to get victims and all this stuff. When the reality of it is that they're very disarming, very charming, and people gravitate towards them, and that's why they can kill as many people as they can, because they don't seem like the kind of person, and they don't get off that energy initially that would do something as heinous as like strangle and kill people. And it goes south so quickly, and that kind of sets the tone for the film. And I love this non-linear form of storytelling. I love the back and forth. We see him with this victim, then it cuts to Anna Kendrick's character, Cheryl. That plotline progresses and it goes back to a different victim, and that progresses and it goes back to Cheryl. I love that non-linear storytelling. But we cut to Cheryl at an audition. She's an aspiring actress and her audition doesn't really go too well.
Did you want me to try it again, or?
No, that was great.
And she goes home and she runs into her neighbor. And the thing about this neighbor is, like, we all know this guy that just cannot take a hint.
Very sweet.
No,
Sarah.
I'm being real. All right, I'm not being sweet, I'm being sincere. That choice you made when he started whispering when you were talking about your mom?
No matter how nice you are trying to be and, like, reject him, he's just, it's completely going over his head. And the fact that he, like, goes into her house and sits on her couch while she takes a phone call, like, that, it's just, it's crazy. And then we cut to, is it 1979 in the San Gabriel Valley. He approaches this runaway and he's ever so charming.
You're beautiful.
And it's very easy to be charming to vulnerable people. That's how cult leaders gain followings. So serial killers are no different. They're gonna go after society's most vulnerable, homeless, young, isolated. We go cut back to Cheryl, and she's basically she didn't get cast, because you don't get cast, or maybe she did for a game show. I thought you like applied or auditioned, I don't know. But she gets on a game show.
Well, I booked you a guest spot on a TV show.
And so her agents are telling her it's really great exposure. She tells her neighbor, and her neighbor makes a move on her, and she's just like, oh no. And then she pity fucks him. And girl, I just want to say this, like, you don't have to do all that. I would personally be hurt if, like, I was interested in someone and they had sex with me out of pure pity. Get that away from me. Don't do that. Don't. I would feel so bad. But some people don't know how to say no, and she just wakes up and goes to the studio. And it's very much the environment. I love how she really captured the essence of the 70s, the fast-paced, moving parts of like a studio set, and like the fashion and the color and the costuming. Oh, everything is just so perfect. Like, she really made it look like it's that time. Like, I was like, yeah, this is the 70s. I love the women.
I don't know where they get them from.
From under a rock, right?
Do you remember that one guy that we had on the show?
filmmaker.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Even the secondary characters, the people that only have like a few minutes of screen time with Anna's character, they're only in the film for like a fraction of a second, saying like encouraging words to her. But even in those moments, these are totally fleshed out characters that these women probably have like backstories, and they're chatting it up and they're giving her advice. It really feels like I'm a fly on the wall watching these real people interact and do their job. An amazing feat. Like, I think that's kind of hard to do with writing, and also like to direct actors to act that way and give you that performance. And I think that is a testament to just how amazing the script is and its direction. And then we go back to 1971, right? In New York City. And it's one of his other victims that he helps move furniture.
That's like the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is. Okay. Almost. Okay.
And I'm gonna say this thing. As someone who lived in a city all by herself with no family members, I have moved a total, when I lived in LA, I had moved like a total of 3 times, right? Yeah, I moved a total of 3 times, all by myself, or with the help of my female roommate. I never solicited help from any man. I think the only time a man helped me was my landlord at one of my last places, and like my roommate's dad. Like, those were the only male help I got. I'm not victim blaming or anything, but I can't get behind her asking a random stranger across the street for help to come into her vacant apartment. Yeah, girl, no. Which is sad, because we should be able to do that. In theory, as humans, we should be able to call on our neighbors and people around us in our community to help us. But people like Rodney make it very clear as to why we can't always do that. So sad. What I like about her is she put up a fight, and then we're back to the game show.
Lights up on number 3. We're gonna have a great time together, Cheryl.
We see that they're being introduced, and Anna's character, Cheryl, is like following the instructions of like the host, because the host is a man in the 70s with a huge ego and a game show. So he thinks he's like the hottest shit on earth.
You're an intelligent girl. Anyone can see that. When you get on that stage, though, I don't want you to play so smart.
And the funny thing is, no one remembers him. One of the audience members recognizes Rodney, and this is probably fictionalized, that like her friend was a direct victim of his, and she has the most normal response to that by dipping the fuck out of there and having a panic attack in her car. And her boyfriend, when he goes out to check on her, that was not the moves, that was not the way. Like, you don't question. Like, if I see my partner having a whole panic attack, the last thing I'm doing is asking her, is like, are you sure about that? You 100% sure about that?
How sure are you?
I'm pretty sure.
You know, I can't say with 100% certainty this guy definitely killed my friend, because I wasn't physically there. I'm so sorry. That doesn't take a rocket scientist to put 2 and 2 together. And my friend leaving with a guy and showing up dead the next day equals he probably murdered her. Like, what are we doing right now? Also, here's this person freaking the fuck out, and you're not even gonna try to hug them and comfort them emotionally? Like, he just absolutely drops the ball at every point of this interaction. But he redeems himself later, so I'm not gonna go in on him that bad. She tells him to get out. But the suspense is killing me, because although we saw him pick up the homeless teen, they drag out the suspense of what happens to her the entire film. For the first lady that, you know, we opened on, we saw him obviously attack her. And then the lady in New York, we saw that went south so quickly. But the 2 women, Cheryl in the game show and this teen that he picks up, we are left holding our breaths the entire time, waiting to see what he does to them. And I think that's brilliant, because like, we as people watching this already know what happens. He committed these crimes, was arrested, and the rest is history. But I love that they can still build suspense and have us on the edge of our seats waiting to see what happens next. That's hard to do with true crime, because there's so much information out there, public records, news reports, articles, TV coverage, journalists, like, the information is out there. Like, we know what happens, but I love that we can suspend our belief enough to be retold things that we already know. I think that's great. I think that's brilliant. I love it. And then we go back to 1977. Because he's a photographer, I think he is a correspondent within a newspaper, and he's trying to pick up a guy.
I usually find my subject on the beach, but I feel like you look great in that light, so, you know, if you're around.
I didn't know he went both ways. And he almost gets him. But the police come to the newspaper and question him. And so the guy ends up not going with him to the beach. And that's smart. It's a smart guy right there. And we see him getting upset about people like gossiping about him. And here's the thing I want to say about that. If he was absolutely innocent and wasn't doing trifling shit, I could see why he would be upset. Like, okay, I'm not doing anything. This is literally just a misunderstanding and you guys are gossiping about me. Like, that's not cool, guys. But he gets upset that they're gossiping about him possibly doing something shisty when he knows himself he's killing people. What the fuck? I don't think you get to be upset when people are gossiping about you, possibly doing nefarious things when you are quite literally doing the nefarious things that they don't even know what that could be. Like, be so fucking for real right now. Be so fucking for real. And then go back to the game show. You know, they took a break because when that girl left in a hurry to have a panic attack, she tripped over some equipment and they had to reset, so they took a break. And I love the advice that the makeup lady gives Cheryl when she's just like, who cares? You're on here one time. Do what the fuck you want to do. Don't listen to him. Like, literally, who cares? Just have fun. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You're not a cast or crew member. You're a random person that got to be on a game show, and then you're going to go back to being a random person after this, which I think is just amazing advice. And I love this character even more. And she takes that to heart and really runs with it. And she starts being witty and funny and intelligent, you know, herself.
Bachelor number 3, your buddy's drawn a blank. Do you want to help him out?
With his theory of special relativity?
And she really just gives the show everything she has and makes it that much more funny and entertaining to watch. The host is obviously upset about this, and Rodney, because he's a charismatic person, feeds into it, while the other two guys are just absolutely getting dogged on national television. And it's funny to watch the host throw a tantrum. While this is going on, I don't know if they ever say her name, but the friend tries to go report Rodney to the authorities, like a producer or something.
I think that the guy that killed her is up on that stage right now, Bachelor number 3.
And that fucking security guard basically sends her to go have a meeting with a janitor.
I'm supposed to meet with someone named George Elliott. He's a producer.
Because I'm George Elliott.
Like, bro, why would you do that? If I was a security guard and someone's like, oh, a contestant on your show possibly killed my friend, I'm calling the FBI. What the fuck do you mean a murderer might be on stage right now? Like, those are serious allegations. And I don't understand why he made a joke of it. Like, it's so fucked up. I digress. And we go back to Rodney and the runaway driving, and they're talking about their absent fathers, and the cinematography is just beautiful.
I'm afraid I'd kill him.
It's amazing how one selfish asshole can fuck up your entire life.
But back to the game show, Rodney wins, and one of the contestants, the second guy, tells her to be careful with him, and she takes that to heart, because even though he didn't win and he was made to look like an ass, he does recognize that Rodney's a fucking creep. So he gives her hey, look out, I'm a douchebag, but that guy's a fucking dangerous person, which is, the bare minimum, good for him. And Rodney doesn't help his case by grabbing the small of her back.
Oh, yeah. Nice to meet you.
Well, you did it, Ron. You offered some great answers to some very tricky questions, and you got the girl.
Thanks, Ed.
Because obviously creep behavior 101 is grab people without asking. And so they win a vacation, and he asks her out to go get drinks after. And of course, he's being fucking weird. He's not his charming self that he was on the TV. He is his creepy self, his true self. And she's just not into the vibes, and who would be? And I love that the waitress picks up on it.
Can you give us another round? We had the Mai Tais.
Sorry, Miss Lascaux.
And I love the waitress. She's a girl's girl, and she's like, we're out of alcohol, actually. I would too. If I had a bottle of tequila in my hand and a guy's like, oh, pour us more drinks, I would look at the bottle and be like, we've actually never sold alcohol here before. What gave you the impression that we had alcohol? They leave, and he's being a fucking creep. And like she gives him a phone number and he asks her to recite it. And I hate that. I hate that. So much so, I personally don't give my phone number out just to avoid this. I just like, if I care enough, I'll give out like my Instagram. It's like, oh, you know, it's just for safety reasons, for security, like, you know, like, because people don't understand, even if you don't get murdered, you could get fucking hacked. But I digress. He follows her to her car. And the only reason she gets saved is because the crew is walking at the same time, so he like backs off. And here's the thing I want to say about that particular scene. I, as a woman living in 2024, like I understand I'm so privileged and I have, because of this, because serial killers are fucking rampant, there's so many security features that I do not take for granted. Not I. The fact that I can unlock my car from like 10 feet away from my car, I love that. Thank you. I love being able to unlock my car before I get to it so I don't have to like fiddle with fucking keys and let a serial killer get closer to me. Because that's what happened with her. She had to like fiddle with her key and he got up on her. Thank you, car manufacturers, for inventing that feature, because I don't know how many lives that has probably saved. That's the thing about serial killers. They thrive in isolation. Like if that group of men did go out at that specific time, she would have gone in that parking lot too, probably. Because it's also like the 70s. There's probably no DNA testing or security cameras that are prevalent everywhere the way that they are now. And later we see the friend of one of the victims try to report what happened to her to the police, and her boyfriend is supportive.
You ready?
As he should have always been, but sometimes it takes people a while to get there. You know, he came around. He understood, drove her to the police station, and she's like the most sane person out of this whole film because she has the most normal responses to seeing that guy and then also having to report a crime to the police.
Do your fucking job! Fuck!
I don't know if you've ever had to go into a police station and report a crime. It's literally so fucking... It's awful. It's awful. Like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy to have to go report a crime to the police. I've been to police stations. I've accompanied my friends to go report stuff, and it's this scene. Like you want to walk out screaming at the top of your lungs to just do your fucking job because oh my god, what are you guys doing? But this is not what this is about, so I'm not gonna go there. Cheryl eventually moves out. You know, LA is not for everyone, and I'm glad that that's her journey. I loved LA. I loved living there. It was so much fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But I would never advocate for everyone to come live in LA. Even so, now that I don't live there anymore, I don't know if I could live there again. I love it, and I love visiting and spending time there, but LA is a different beast, and it's just not for everyone. It's just not for everyone. And so I do not blame her for leaving. And we finally see the aftermath of what Rodney did to the runaway. And she is so smart for being like, I think she was like 15 at the time, really intelligent. She really knew how to keep herself safe and what to do. She basically comforted him and didn't make a big deal and was just like, let's just go home. So smart. So smart. Because the last thing you want to do is agitate someone that almost killed you. And then when they go pump gas, she obviously escapes and calls the police. And they arrest him.
Get on the fucking ground! Tony, go back up!
And then we get, and I really like this. I really like this detail at the very end. I know there's like a rule in directing, like, hey, show, don't tell. Like, you have to just show the actions. Because it's a more serious topic, I like that Anna didn't feel the need to show him getting, like, going to trial and all this stuff. Like he doesn't need that kind of attention, and she kind of just put she just put words on a screen to kind of let us know what happened, like the aftermath of his arrest, which I think was very respectful and a nice touch and like a good way to end it. You know, it's like we just watched for like an hour and a half of this guy just being absolutely atrocious. Like I don't feel like we also need to keep him on screen. And it's honestly so jarring to see those numbers. Like, I don't understand how someone could commit such violent crimes on such a large scale for so long and how he got away with it for so long. But it also, I understand, like, it's a product of the time. Like, I don't feel like anyone would be able to get away with that now just because of the climate, cameras being everywhere, DNA evidence. And I'm really glad he was apprehended and died in prison. Like, that is a perfect ending to this terrible story. But yeah, that is Women of the Hour. Let me know what you guys think. I really, from a filmmaker's perspective, really enjoyed a lot of the elements that this film had to offer, with the casting, the cinematography, the non-linear storytelling was a beautiful touch. It was just overall just a very well-made film, and I really enjoyed it. And for it to be Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, pat yourself on the back, girl. Like, this was a really good job, especially for a project that you're also acting in. I'm really proud of her. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Was there any part of the film I didn't touch on that you wish I had? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.